Hey guys, really special treat today. JCB, the man himself, John is coming down to the studio. He's going to answer some of our questions, some of my questions and some of your questions. So stay tuned and listen up. Hi guys, it's me, Froggy, and I'm here with a very special guest, John. Hey guys.
Hi.
All right. Getting into it, John, I do want to say thank you very much for taking the time and appearing on the show here, answering some questions.
Yeah,
And
well,
thank
my pleasure.
Yeah, and thank you also for putting this on, right? All right. I have a few questions on some of the smaller boxes. It'll just be, kind of stories that are relating to the boxes. Help us get some more context with maybe what we're reading in the book and know a little bit more about you. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So the first one I have here is about the Appalachian Trail box. Is there a story about the Appalachian Trail that really sticks out to you? Maybe something that happened as a child, either a wildlife interaction or maybe you got lost?
I mean, I think that like for me, the Appalachian Trail represents like more than just the trail itself. I mean, as a child, I did spend some time on the Appalachian Trail, but more than that, it kind of signified an area. Um, and that was the whole kind of western part of North Carolina. So a lot of people haven't been there, but if you have, it's beautiful in a lot of different ways. And the Blue Ridge Mountains are amazing. And I just spent a lot of time there. I actually had a babysitter who was actually the high school science teacher who went to our church, and she started babysitting me when I was, I don't know, 1 or 2 years old, and all the way up to when I was a teenager. And we would do road trips, and a lot of times we would go up to the Blue Ridge Mountains. She had a sister who lived there. She loved, as a biology teacher, she loved being outside, so we would collect leaves. We would learn about the names of trees. We would, we were just kind of immersed in nature. And as a young kid, I didn't know anything different. So I think I was when I was thinking about doing this treasure hunt, and before I even had the idea for 5 treasure boxes, when I was thinking maybe I'll just do one, the Appalachian Trail was probably my first choice. It was probably the first thing I had in mind because it was so meaningful to me. As I got older, I had a chance to visit more different parts of the Appalachian Trail and realize it was much more than just my memories in childhood. So, I wouldn't want to say, like, I think a lot of people assume that like that treasure must be hidden in North Carolina, but I just remind people that the Appalachian Trail is a big place with a lot of beautiful places.
That's really great that you had that experience as a childhood. Some children, aren't as fortunate to be near nature, and so to have that experience is really awesome. All right, we're gonna pivot. We're gonna go overseas to Japan.
Okay.
So, is there a story? The book, it comes across your appreciation and love for Japan, for the culture, for what you experienced over there. I think it comes across pretty well. Is there a particular story that you want to share, either about a location you visited, a certain meal you had, or any maybe particular aspect of Japanese culture that?
I mean, there's just so much. I mean, it's so funny because a friend of mine recommended I go to Japan. I really wanted to get out of the country and just decompress. And I looked at the weather in different parts of the world, and I was like, "Oh, it's January. It's not that bad in Japan right now." So literally on my flight over, I was reading information about Tokyo. I had no idea it was the largest city in the world. I had no idea about anything about Japan. And when I got there, I just was like, I don't know. It was a perfect fit for me. Like every part of it, I loved. It was the only place that me and Kimberly, who's my wife now, ever thought about leaving the United States and living somewhere else, was Japan. Like we really fell in love with it. We did the family route. We decided to stay here, but there was a time where like we were considering the possibilities of living there. But I mean, I could spend more than time than we have talking about it, but it's just
Right.
it's very true to my heart. And the Pokemon box, and the way that box looks, it's like steeped into the traditions of Japan, and it's just a testament to how much I love Japan.
I was very fortunate. I was happy to find that part in your book because I felt a little bit of a connection. I lived in Japan for 5 years, 3
Oh,
years. My
wow.
father was in the Navy, so he was
Okay.
stationed over there. And so I was a young child, really immersed. Origami, the puzzle box, I felt a really connection to. So real
Yeah.
quick before we shift away from Japan, what favorite food I have to know? Is there a favorite Japanese food?
You probably know all the food there is wonderful. I mean, we're sushi snobs. I will say we're sushi snobs, but
Okay, I like it.
but like literally, like the ramen like for $6 on the
Oh,
street, like I'm happy
can't
with
beat
that.
it.
Give me that for the
Can't
rest
beat
of
it.
my life.
That's good. It's funny that, weather, how, fate is fickle, and so it was a weather kind of decision that kind of led you,
Part of
plus
it, yeah,
the friend recommending.
yeah,
All right. Leaving Japan, coming back to the US.
yeah,
The next question I have is about Forrest Fenn, the Forrest Fenn hunt, your
yeah,
experience with that. And so I
yeah.
do know that, I don't want to get into sensitive locations, but what about your solve, your process, you're working through it? Was there an aha moment, a late night study session where you discovered something? Do you remember any part of your original solve or solves that really stuck out to you thought was really cool?
Well, what I would say is this. I think I've said it before, but there's been some questions about like, did I hide this box in Yellowstone? And
Oh, yeah.
like, I thought I made it. I thought I sometimes, you think you make things clear and you don't. So I didn't. But the whole point of why I didn't hide it in Yellowstone is I never looked for Forrest's box in Yellowstone because
Hmm.
I made this ridiculous assumption that he wouldn't have hid it in Yellowstone
You and
based
many
on
others.
no facts really whatsoever other than like just trying to read between the lines. And instead of just like focusing on the more obvious thing, which was his book talked about Yellowstone pretty much more than any other place all the time, instead of just looking at the obvious simple facts of the situation, I decided to get too clever by half. So I spent a lot of time looking for his box in different areas, different states, but I never, I would, 100 years would have gone by and I would never have found Forrest's box because I made the decision not to search in Yellowstone. So I hid the Forrest Fenn box in my treasure in an exact place that I was searching, that I came across, and I was like, if he didn't hide it here, this is like where he should have hid it. So it was
Right.
always in my mind, and so when I decided to do uh, the a Forrest Fenn box, I knew exactly where I was going to put it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's
I
I
think
think
my
we've all
my
kind
story
of
about Forrest Fenn and your question is more of a testament to like what not to do. Then I had a really cool solve, and you should hear about it. It was more like I ignored all the obvious simple clues that were pointing me in a simple direction, and I just went off and did something on my own.
hey, with all the treasure hunts that are going out there, they're still unfound. That's 99.9 of us. We're all ignoring what's really obvious and we're just, hey, this is really cool over here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, now moving on to the last small box, the past and the future box. To me, I really like that little story at the very end of it where you mentioned, your grandparents looking over your grandfather's shoulders, working on the
Yeah.
thing. I'm just curious to know, like, okay, so you had the babysitter, you had this time out in the Appalachians. Now you're at grandma and grandpa's house, maybe for a weekend, for a summer, for whatever. Is there any stories you can share from us about that time?
I mean, I joke with my parents because they would drop me off there for 2 or 3 weeks, I think, so just so they wouldn't have to deal with
Two
me
or
in the
three
summer.
weeks.
Yeah, like, but I loved my grandparents. My grandparents, especially my grandfather, was old school. He was born, I think, in 1916. He was like, but it felt like he was from like 5 or 6 generations ago. Very agricultural. They had a huge, they farmed off the land, even not to sell, just for themselves. He kept bees. He had a woodworking shop. He was the kind of guy who didn't talk a whole lot. I think I tell a story where they kind of sit in the front yard and just count the cars. That's what their
Right.
entertainment was. So, it's a completely different world. So, like, I grew up in a rural part of North Carolina. It was nothing like the world today. But then I felt like I was stepping back about another 75 years when I would go to my grandparents' house. But they were kind-hearted people, and just saw the earth. And basically, I had to entertain myself the whole time. I kind of still shake my head because my kids are always expecting some parent or adult to be around to entertain them. I was like, no, that's not what you do as a kid. You have to like be able to entertain yourself. But it was a great time, great memories, and yeah, I loved it there.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. All right. So, in lieu of asking a question about the fifth box, I want to have this one kind of let you share one aspect of the hunt, and I'll preface it by saying I'm on Discord a lot, and I hear probably more than my own good that I should, but I hear positive stories about people inspired about your hunt, about other hunts, and they do a hunt for their kid's birthday, or they do a hunt for their nephew,
Oh, wow.
or
Yeah.
and I see the stories is coming back. So I just wanted to relay that to you. You're part of the emphasis for that. People who have gotten in the treasure hunt, they're now doing little hunts for their communities.
Wow.
Someone partnered with like their local SPCA and did like a sponsored hunt there.
Great.
So that's a thank you and sharing some good news to you of what's happening. All right. And I guess the question would be, in this last 10 or so months that this hunt's been out there, is there one particular story that you heard of, and it may just be the most recent one, it may not be the most impactful one, that you want to share as kind of like a, man, this happened because I put the hunt out, and this is really cool. Is there anything like that comes to mind?
I don't, it's so hard to answer that question because there's so many, I have help reading my emails and things, but certain things are passed on to me or kind of find their way directly to me. There's been a couple of situations where like kids have reached out, like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. I think one was maybe even 10. And like I felt compelled to respond because it was like, it's a little different when it's a child reaching out
Right.
to you. And that just kind of warms my heart. I think the best stories have been the ones where people have reached out and said that they felt closer to their spouse, closer
Mhm.
to an old friend, spending time with their family or their kids in ways that they maybe wouldn't have otherwise. I actually have a parents of a child who goes to school with my child in kindergarten who got into the hunt unbeknownst to me, and they've spent a lot of time together more than they normally do doing this, and so like it's like wow. But those type of experiences, because there's a theme of joy in my book, there's a theme
Right.
of like this is supposed to be a fun experience, an exciting experience, and I think the stories of situations where people felt closer uh, to people in their lives, and I guess more present. I think being
Mhm.
out and doing something active, whether it's this or something else, but even being just in nature, going camping or just getting out of the house, like it can make us more present, and I think that's a really important thing.
I like that. Perfect answer. And I know that was a tricky one to kind of, but
Well,
I
it's
do
hard because
appreciate.
there's, like, so many. I wish I had
Yeah.
a really cool story to tell, and maybe if I sat down, I could parse out something,
Well, if you think of any
but
later, feel free to
there's been a
message me.
lot. There's been a lot.
One more thing on sort of tangentially related. Also with treasure hunting, there's been a renewed interest, which I'm a big fan of, Dungeons and Dragons. So I had several
Okay.
people like, what is it? I've never played before, and I was like, well, if you want, I can do a one shot, or we can run a couple Thursdays. And I will say, last Thursday was the first Discord Dungeons and Dragons that we got a chance to run. There was
Like
like
a virtual.
yeah, yeah. So we're on Discord, right? And so,
Nice. Nice.
I said we're using D&D Beyond, if you're familiar with that.
I've heard of it.
It's yeah. And so I'm like, hey, look, here's a short little prompt. Adventurers looking for treasure, and we played 4 hours last Thursday, and we're gonna play again this Thursday. So just want to share that also. Some little D&D love is getting spread out there.
So you were dungeon master.
I was, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Was it successful, or did you lead them into peril?
So we have our face, our rogue is very talkative and wants to steal everything like rogues do, and wants to persuade everybody about all kinds of stuff. So the mission was, you're in a tavern, you hear of a bandit that hid some treasure on this mountain, and there's optional side quests. You can rescue a villager who'd been captured, fight some goblins, typical stuff, or talk to the monk for clues, right?
I got
And
you.
so they like the side quests, which explains to me why we haven't found the gold yet, because we're all caught up in the side quest.
Wow, you learn something about yourself when you start playing D&D, right?
Yeah, yeah, you really do. You really do. So hopefully they finish all the side quests. So tomorrow night we'll go up the mountain, fight some bandits, and hopefully get the gold. We'll see.
Nice.
All right. Okay. So here, a couple minutes left, wrapping it up. There are some kind of little rapid fire questions. So these are questions from Discord community, the stuff
Alright.
that their top 5 or 6 that they really want to know. You
Okay.
down for them?
Sure.
And if you got to punt any, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. First one. Are you currently working on an updated errata for all the factually inaccurate parts of the book as well as misspellings?
Well, I think actually most of it's been corrected, but I think that like what's happened is that the books that have been corrected haven't actually made it into the retail stores
Yeah.
yet. So it is corrected, but it might take a little bit of time for enough books to be sold to actually see that.
Okay. All right. Next one. So this one, it's always funny when people say we know. So there's a little asterisk next to that. But here's the question. We know from the artist that you added the butterfly to your other book, The Unbreakable Thread.
Hmm.
Why did you do it and what does it represent to you?
Well, I may have to punt on that question.
Oh, fair, fair.
I will say, like the saying that I added a butterfly. I personally did not like have any access to those files. But anyway, I'm gonna punt on that question.
Fair, fair. All right, couple left. Here we go. Why did you use numbers in the front of the book and Roman numerals in the back?
I wish there was a really nice, like interesting answer, but that was a complete design choice by the gentleman who designed the book.
Gotcha. All right, next one. Uh, this is an easy one. Do you like the game Frogger?
Actually, yes.
Okay, okay, yeah. This is somebody had. I guess they're working on something and they wanted to know that. So there you
But
go.
not related to your nickname.
No, right.
Okay.
It wasn't my question. It was someone else. Okay. Here we go. So this one, last question I have. It's been announced that two websites, I guess you've owned in the past or were connected to you somehow, they say, are up and running and linked to the hunt. These sites use cookies and ask searchers to provide email addresses. The sites are called Getaways Now and Perfect Love Song. Are these still related to you, or is that someone else running them now?
No, I don't own those sites.
Okay, all right, perfect. Yeah, there's side quests. Like
And
I said, we just
I
keep.
don't own those sites, and I also don't know who owns those sites. And I didn't. I think I may have owned those sites, but you understand. Back 15 years ago, I was in
Yeah.
web development, so I
Yep.
own lots of different sites for different reasons. So I don't own those anymore. There may be some links tied to something related to me that have never been taken down by the other owners, but I know nothing of it.
Fair enough. Hey, that's all I have, and thank you very much for your time and for answering the questions, John. Is there anything, any loose ends or anything?
Had a great time.
All right, good, good. All right, so thanks again. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something out of the responses and out of the answers. Let me know in the comments what your favorite answer was or any clues that you feel like you can share with us. If not, keep them for yourself. All right. And if you like treasure hunting, if you are a fan of JCB, if you like his hunt, there's treasure inside. Be sure to follow the channel, subscribe, and take a look at the playlist that has breakdowns on the book. All right, guys, take care. Be safe out there.